Whatever you're doing, I want you to stop it right now because we're going fishing. This show's called Total Fishing, and have we got a show lined up for you or what? Now, later on, Chris Ball, leading carp expert, will be catching fish off the surface. Me, well, I'm going barbel fishing down on the River Severn. We've got the future of fishing in our high-tech segment, and we'll also be bringing you fishing buffs some of the best fishing tips around. If you're into cooking, there's something for you as well. We've got leading television chef Stephen Bulmer, and he'll be showing us some of the tricks of the trade. And to conclude the show with a bang, well, this time around, I'm off to the exotic sun-kissed waters of the Indian Ocean. This show's all about me and my mates going fishing. We're going to kick it off in style now with one of the best. Chris Ball, I call him Motormouth because he can talk the hind leg off a donkey. But I'll tell you what, this guy's so smooth he can virtually charm the carp out of the water. If you're into surface fishing for carp, and why not, because I tell you what, it's fantastic, then this is the man that you should be listening to. Chris Ball, floater fishing expert, doing what he does best, catching carp right off the top.
Stuck in the weeds. No, just come out. I have to be really, really heavy with this. It's very brutal. But it's gotta be absolutely brutal with them. Big swell. There. Float's going deeper. Right, come on again. There we go. 40 yards, I would think. You can see just about everything when they come up to the top here. Always fighting against the pressure. Coming closer. No, there we go. I thought he might. He's properly hooked, he's not, he's well hooked. And again. Big roll, come away from those reeds. Okay, I'm leading back in now. What are you going to do? For a little trip again. Hold just in the side, look at that in the lip. Yes. And he's mine. Ah, gee, that was good. What a scrap. What a scrap. Oh, look at that. This has got this beautiful pinhead scales here. In fact, he looks bigger now. We've got him out. Look at that. What a beautiful fish. Let's hold it steady. Exactly 26. There he goes. What a lovely fish. There's my methods of catching a carp off the surface. This underrated but exciting method can put a lot of fish on the bank. Give it a go.
In high tech this time around, we're looking at big game fishing, and I've got here a rod and reel combination that could literally stop a London double-decker bus. This is a stand-up outfit comprising a Tiagra big game reel and a Tiagra big game rod. You'd be hard pushed to bend this thing, but believe me, I've fought big sharks which have bent this thing right over double. It's an incredibly strong piece of kit. Together, the rod and the reel cost well over £1,000, and if you use the fighting chair version of these reels, the £80 version, versions, they're even more expensive. But the engineering that goes into both pieces of kit is nothing short of phenomenal. This reel is manufactured from solid aluminium pipe stock. The gearing system is unique. It's got what's termed a hydrothermal drag, and that means that inside this reel there's a reservoir of fluid which controls the amount of heat that builds up on the drag system when the fish strips line from the reel. The danger when a fish strips line from the reel very quickly is that as the amount of line on the spool reduces, the heat builds up. But this reel very cleverly takes care of that. The rod is fitted with the best AFTCO specification roller guides. It's very, very strong. Altogether, the perfect type of kit that you need for catching the biggest fish that swim. And I personally, well, I was very fortunate that on a trip to Australia last year, I managed to catch 2 great white sharks using Tiagra setups, the biggest one weighing a staggering 1,900 pounds, chums. And I'll tell you what, that is total fishing. What's winter fishing all about? Well, I'll tell you what it's all about. Most of the time, it's about sitting on a freezing cold riverbank, freezing your nuts off. But you know, every now and again, you get one of those blinding days where the fish go absolutely crazy. And we've got a day like that coming up for you right now. Right, now the bait's in position. I'm fishing upstream. And this is a technique that I like to use when I'm fishing these creases. If you're fishing behind a tree and the water's coming across diagonally, i.e. the crease, if you sit below the tree and cast upstream and fish either on the edge of the crease or on the slacker water just inside it, you'll have a very effective presentation. I like to touch ledger wherever possible. Sometimes I'm a bit lazy, as I was earlier on, and I'll put the rod down on the rest. But really, you can't beat the sensitivity of your fingers to tell you what's going on, particularly when the water's flooded. Because when the water's racing through, you get all sorts of little knocks and pulls on the rod tip caused by the little eddies and swirls, the debris coming down river, all that sort of thing. And, oh, that was a bite. And that just illustrates the point perfectly. You'd think that I'd set that up, but I can promise you I didn't. I wasn't looking at the rod tip, but I felt a little thump there, and immediately as I struck, I was into a fish. Now that was on the stringer. I wonder how many of those pieces of meat that it managed to devour before it finally gulped down mine. I reckon it must have taken the lot all in one go. Well, that was a magic piece of action, wasn't it? Dramatically illustrating theory in practice. What a good man I am. Oh, look at that. Nice to feel the line tick off. It's a strange fight, this, actually. Lovely feeling, though, and it just shows how that touch ledgering technique works. It is a barbel. Lovely. Oh, this is marvellous feeling. You see what I mean about the rod? There's plenty of power there, and if I have to put the heat on a fish, I can. But by the same token, there's that lovely soft curve, which means that even with relatively light sort of 4-pound lines, you're not in danger of being smashed up. Unless, of course, you're fishing very near snags. Or even very near slags, if that's what takes your fancy. Well, I'm pretty grateful for that fish, to be honest, because old Billy the Barbel here certainly, A, wanted to make an appearance for the cameras, and B, to prove the validity of Matty's theory, because you can't beat a bit of touch ledgering. That's how it detects its food, with these distinctive barbules and, of course, the underslung sucker-like mouth, perfectly designed for bottom feeding. And if you've got any doubts about the size of your barbel baits, look at that. You get a golf ball in there. I'm going to slip her back. Beautiful, beautiful fish. Well, I'd be the first person to admit that it's been a few years since I was involved seriously in trout fishing, but I'll tell you what, when you get a letter like this one, it does make you wonder. This is an invitation, in fact. It's got a Swansea postmark, and it says, "Dear Mr. Hayes, I've recently stocked my trout fishery with the rare and exotic golden trout, and I would be most delighted if you'd come along and fish for them. Well, I don't know about you, but I reckon golden trout, this guy's got to be a Welsh nutter. Or is he? Well, here we are. We found the elusive quarry, these famous golden trout, just down in the corner of the fishery by the lodge. And these fish are driving me balmy. They're milling around just under the surface. You can see them because the bright orange shows up. They're a wonderful sight. And they're following flies. They're just veering off at the last minute. They're coming short. They're coming right in under the bank and playing with us. And I'll tell you what, it's been very, very difficult. But having said that, there's one right behind my fly just now. Come on, boy. Yep. That's more like it. Yes, sirree, Bob. That's what we've been after. That fish just took a white fritz just under the surface. Magic stuff. This is what we've been after. The old man-come fish miracle pulls one at last. That's a lovely feeling. Look at that. Yay. Look at that fish. That's what we want. Yeah, it's a cracker. Beauty. Oh, it's lovely visual fishing. Look at that. That's beautiful. Lovely feeling. Come to Matty, come to Matty, come to Matty. Oh, it's not ready yet. I love it. I'll tell you what, I love it. Right. Now come to Matty. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Yes! How about that? Now that is a serious fish. Woo! Beautiful. The young man from Birmingham sorts one out. How about that? Now, have a look in there. All those teeth, somewhere is my fly, or has it fallen out in the net? Yes, it has. How about that? Look, there it is. How's that for a stroke of luck? Now, I'm not going to kiss you because Rex Hunt does that, but I'll tell you what, that is a magnificent fish. Look at it. I love it. Magic. Just forcing some water through her gills, just to give her some oxygen. And then when you feel that old tail kick rhythmically, that's the time to let him go. Well, the mystery is revealed. The reason, folks, that I'm here in Soho is not for shady purposes at all, but I've struck a deal with my friend here, Stephen Bulmer, who's a chef, TV chef I might add, and restaurateur, and Steve and I have got a little arrangement, and it's not a shady one. Our arrangement is, I catch them, he cooks them, and by the way, Steve, before we go any further, I do the jokes, all right? Okay. Now, we're going to start off with salmon, the king of the river. Now, you thought that I was the king of the river, but in actual fact, we've got a lovely fresh salmon here, and Steve, hopefully, is going to show us how to cook it.
Well, this is a nice 10-pound salmon. It's a farmed salmon, it's not a wild salmon, judging by the fin on the back.
You've just blown my cover there, Steve.
Oh,
I just said I caught that. Thanks, mate. So what's the difference, Steve, between a farm salmon and a wild salmon? What does it taste?
A lot of it is the taste. I love the wild salmon because it's actually in its natural environment. So basically the food what it's eating, it's actually will actually go into that flesh and give it a lovely flavour from that. You quickly gut them, just go basically through the back passage there, slightly go through, watch the bladder at the top, because if you hit the bladder, it's going to basically discolour and scent the taste of the fish.
Yeah.
Okay, so quickly go up, pull the guts out. There's an inner blood level, black vein, which we actually just pull out.
Yeah.
So it doesn't affect when we're actually filleting it, that all the blood and things go into it. Okay, round the back, there's a V at the head.
Bit of a horror story here.
One there, see the V there? Okay, flip it round again. underneath one of the fins.
So you're taking the head right off.
Keep the knife flat, keep it pressed flat.
So you're cutting along, the spine there now?
We're cutting along the spine, yeah. Keep both hands, turn it over, and you see you pulled it straight off with hardly any meat.
There's actually quite a lot there, isn't there, Steve, really?
Absolutely.
I mean, when you consider the size of that fillet there, fans, look at that. Fantastic, really. What fisherman wouldn't like to get his chops around that?
You run your finger across there, you find all the little pin bones. Yeah.
Well, how many of these bones are there, Steve?
More than 50. To lightly score the fish, which will help crispen the skin up. So you've got some nice little scores in there, which will place pan down in the restaurant. We'll start it off with a little bit of butter, skin side down. Leave it for about 4 or 5 minutes so it starts to crispen up. You'll find the fresher the fish, it'll start to expand and turn up, and you'll find actually on your cooking you'll only get a nice little bit which will be crisp. This dish I've got is a tartare of salmon. What I've got here is the diced flesh. Put the skin off, I've diced the flesh up. Okay, I've added a little bit of chopped dill into that.
Yeah, that looks very good actually, Steve.
A spoonful of sour cream and a little bit of Dijon mustard. Just bound into.
Sounds great.
Just bound into that. Okay, right. What I'm going to do, I've got some little rings here, but if you haven't got the rings at home, if you've got any pastry cutters will just do the trick. So you press it into your mould.
Yeah.
Okay, just press it down onto your plate so it's filled.
There's very nicely presented like that, isn't it?
There's a lot of protein in salmon, so it'll actually hold very well. I've got a little bit of vinaigrette, a little bit of salad. I can just put a little bit of mixed leaves. So I've taken a little bit more sour cream, mixed a bit of the bought-in horseradish.
Yeah.
Just pop that on top, just scatter it around. Like so. I've got some cucumber. What's lovely is cucumber can be fairly tough, so what I've done is I've lightly marinated the cucumber in salt, left it for about 3 hours, washed the salt off, and it breaks the texture down.
Yeah, I can see that that's actually quite sort of juicy.
And then just pop that around. Got a little bit of lumpfish roe, and you can finish with a nice little piece of dill.
Proof of the pudding is in the eating, folks. And I'll tell you what, that ain't half bad. This bloke knows his job. TV chef Stephen Bulmer. We'll be seeing more from him later in the series, but for now, it's time for some really big fish action. You know, of all the places I've been to, I'd have to say that probably the Indian Ocean is the finest ocean I've ever seen. Its rich, deep water absolutely teems with fish, and I mean teems with them. One of those fish is a fabulously colourful fish called the dorado. It's probably the best fish I've ever eaten, freshly cooked at sea, and I'll tell you what, these things scrap like hell. We're heading out towards us a group of gulls out there. The seabirds are a great clue to where the fish are. The predators drive the bait fish up to the surface, and all you can see is this crazy thrashing, and the gulls are in there as well. And it's we're just going through that area now, and there are fish near the baits. Dogged, as opposed to the spectacular pull of the sailfish. Yay! Amazing. Yeah, we came through a shoal of tuna, and they were just everywhere, man, all around the boat. And, well, there just had to be other bigger fish under that lot. That was a banquet. It's a real stubborn one. Just trying to get deep now. I can feel it trying to move down, but bit by bit, inch by inch. I might even might be starting to win this one. Don't think it's a good idea being right underneath them like this. There's the top of the leader. The double line, yeah? And then the leader below that. He's not happy. What a colours, look at it go. Man. Woo! Yo! That's fantastic. That is fantastic. Oh. Look at that fish, man. Oh. Look at that.